Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
Welcome, I'm Frank Agan, founder and president of AmSpirit Business Connections, and your host for this episode of the Networking RX podcast. Before we get started, remember, AmSpirit Business Connections has a unique franchise opportunity that involves helping small business professionals become more successful through a referral-based networking program. It only involves a couple hours a day, a few days a week, generally in the morning, and would be a great franchise for an attorney, accountant, realtor, business coach, or consultant of various kinds, and they can add it on to what they're already doing. So why just be in a business network when you can own the business network? If you or someone you know would like to learn more, please contact me using the email at the end of this podcast or the one we provided in the show notes. Okay, let's get started. What we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about a deadly sin of networking. Maybe not a deadly sin, but something that we're probably all guilty of from time to time. We're all guilty from time to time of dismissing people as having little consequence in our life. They have no impact in our life. There's the people out there that we might look at and say, you know what, they're not going to be my next great client or a client at all. They're not going to be an employee or certainly not a star employee. They probably have little impact on our life. It might be the receptionist that we run into when we're out visiting clients. It might be the person who hands us our dry cleaning. It might be the person who delivers the paper. But while we're probably all guilty of dismissing these people from time to time, it's something that we shouldn't do. Every contact out there has opportunity. Everybody we encounter has opportunity. Everybody we come across may not be our next best client or our next best employee or anybody we have continual contact with, but everybody we have contact with has opportunity. Let me share with you a story. When I first started working in downtown Columbus, my professional job with the firm was called Coopers & Lybrand, and for those who didn't listen to the very first episode, in that first episode I gave a pretty detailed background of who I am and how I got to this place. But just a quick recap of that. I moved to Columbus, Ohio in 1984 to go to law school. I got a law degree and an MBA from the Ohio State University and left there to be a tax consultant with what was then one of the big six accounting firms. The firm I was with was Coopers & Lybrand. So I worked in downtown Columbus. Kind of gets you up to speed on a little bit of my story. If you want to hear the whole thing, go and listen to the very first episode 000. At any rate, when I worked in downtown Columbus, there was really only thing that I owned. I rented an apartment. Yeah, I had clothes, I had a bed and furnishings and all those things, and it was all kind of pieced together, much as any college or graduate student would. A piece here, a piece there. I didn't have much. The only thing I really had that I was proud of was a car. I bought a brand new car when I got an offer to get a job. I had money. I had had somebody who could vouch that I would have money and I could get a loan to get a car. So I bought a car. It wasn't a great car. It was a 1988 red Chevy Cavalier. And for those who know me, all I've ever driven are Chevys or GM products. And agree or disagree, that's just the way I roll. But I had a red Chevy Cavalier. And it wasn't a great car, but it was my car. I guess it was partially my car and partially the bank's car. But it was my car, and I was very particular about my car. And so when I was driving into downtown Columbus and going to work every day, I was particular about where I parked it. I didn't want to just park it anywhere. But I found if I got really close to my office, it was going to be really expensive. And if I got really far away where it wasn't so expensive, I was kind of a little particular about where I was actually leaving my car. So I was a little nervous about that. Anyhow, I stumbled across, through networking, a friend at work suggested that I look at this particular parking garage. And it was close to the office, and it was relatively inexpensive. So it's close to the office and relatively inexpensive. There's got to be a catch, and of course there was. And the catch was simply this, is that when you parked your car, you had to leave your keys, because in this particular parking garage, they were trying to maximize the number of cars that they got in and out of there every day. And so if you were in early and you needed to get at your car, it might be blocked in, and people who came later would leave their keys, or they might move your car here or there depending upon, who was coming and going. And they just, it's how this garage worked. And that made me nervous. That made me nervous right from the onset, because it was my car. It was really the only thing I owned. It wasn't a great car. It didn't even have automatic windows, but it was my car. And I was a little nervous about that, but again, it was close to the office and it was relatively inexpensive, so I went with it. And I thought, the best way for me, and I don't know that I really had a conscious thought about this, but the best way for me to kind of get over this phobia, if you will, of leaving my keys with a total stranger, is turn that stranger into an acquaintance, a friend. So every day as I was dropping off my keys, I would make chit-chat with the parking lot attendants. And it wasn't anything huge, just, hey, how are you doing? I might make a joke about something, or whatever it might be. And I have a lot of fun stories regarding my my interactions with the parking lot attendants. And when I do live programs, I kind of have more time, and I'll get into some of those. And they're funny, and some of those people I still am in contact with, believe it or not. But anyhow, there was one person who was kind of instrumental to this whole process, because she kind of controlled the keyboard. That's where all the keys got put. And so if you parked your car on the third level in space 51, you would tell her, I'm in space 51 on the third level, and she'd put your key on a rack. And the appropriate spot, third level, space 51. Anyhow, her name was Twyla. And I don't know Twyla's last name. I don't think Twyla ever knew my name, to be perfectly honest. She called everybody honey. Now, mind you, there are literally hundreds of attorneys coming and going from this particular parking garage, because it's near Capitol Square. It's near the center of Columbus, Ohio, downtown Columbus, Ohio. But I'd stop and talk to Twyla pretty much every day, and it was an easy conversation to have, because Twyla was a mother. She had a daughter who was a relatively attractive daughter. There were pictures there, and she was in a modeling agency and had aspirations of being a model. And Twyla was a grandmother, so there were pictures of her granddaughter there as well. And it's always easy this little tip for people out there: moms like to talk about their kids. Grandmothers love to talk about their kids. So it was always an easy conversation. Hey, how's your daughter doing? How's your granddaughter doing? That's a great picture. And I'd let her share about her day and what was going on, what was planned, or what they did over the weekend. They weren't real involved conversations. I don't know a whole lot about Twyla other than those few things. At any rate, one day Twyla stopped me, and she said, just in part of our conversation, she said, how would you like to be an extra in a movie? They're shooting a movie in Upper Sandusky, and they need attorney types to be extras. And part of my story, I guess, is I was not totally enamored with working as a tax consultant in public accounting. It just wasn't my thing. I didn't relish, I didn't enjoy going home and reading tax court cases. And it just really I wasn't built for that. Good people, good job, it just wasn't made for me. So I was excited. Hey, it could be an extra movie. Who knows where this is going to go? So I told her in that conversation, sure, I'll do it. I'll be an extra in a movie. And she said she would bring me information, and she brought me information. And that weekend, I actually hooked up with a buddy of mine who was an attorney in downtown Columbus, and we got all dressed up and went down to his law firm and had a camera, got pictures taken. This is pre-digital, so got pictures taken. Went to 1 hour development, got these pictures developed. We looked very stately, very attorney-like, put little portfolios together, and we got in the car and headed up to Mansfield, Ohio, where the casting was. And when we got to Mansfield, Ohio, we got into a room, and it was a rather large room, not huge, but it was rather large, and it was set up what I call Disney-esque. In other words, there was a line that kind of snaked back and forth through the room. And so you got to talk to people a couple of times as you were kind of moving forward with your portfolios. Well, the moment we got there, we're like, hey, this is great. We are shoe-ins because they're looking for attorney types, and there's an awful lot of biker and trucker types here. And not to pass judgment, but they're looking for attorney types, and these people aren't attorney types. We're still dressed up, but nonetheless, we're kind of both chatty, and we're talking to people in line. And as we're talking to people in line, somebody says, well, this is a Stephen King movie. And I'm not a reader of Stephen King, and I couldn't, at that point, couldn't name 3 of his books. But I didn't care. I just wanted to be an extra in a movie. And as we moved along a little bit more, we found out that the name of the movie was something Rita Hayworth. Well, it turns out that the movie was The Shawshank Redemption, because the name of one of Stephen King's short stories is Rita Hayworth and The Shawshank Redemption. We had no idea what we were in for. I've never read the story. If you watch the movie, the opening scene is a courtroom scene where Andy Dupree is being convicted for the killing of his wife and lover, and sent to prison for life, which is the story. And I run into very, very few people who've not seen the movie, so I won't go into any more into that. Now, in ironies of ironies, I was not cast to be an attorney. I was cast to be a prisoner, and I was in the opening prison yard scene. Now, I know there's certainly you get a chuckle out of that when I do live programs and tell the story. I set it up really well, and people get a good chuckle out of it, and it is funny, that aspect of it. But the point here is that at that parking garage, there were hundreds of attorneys coming and going every day. And I was the only person that Twyla stopped to give that opportunity to. And I didn't get discovered. Obviously, I've never been in another Hollywood movie. But I had a great experience being on the set of a Hollywood blockbuster, as it turned out. Literally standing there in the prison yard talking to Morgan Freeman. I don't want to say it changed my life, but it was a neat experience. And so what I ask people, I'll ask you and think about it. Who's the Twyla in your life? Who's that person out there that, they're not going to be your next best employee. They're not going to be a client or a good client, but they're just sort of there. And you never know who that person knows or what that person might have to offer for you. So every contact out there, every networking contact has opportunity. Now, this is not to say that you need to have everybody on your holiday card list, or everybody needs to be invited to your wedding or anything like that. And it's not to say that you need to take every person on as a client. Let's face it, not everybody's going to be a great client for you. Some clients, or some potential clients, or people who, some potential people are not going to be good fits for what you do. And it's okay to tell people that and maybe give them a solution to help them be served. But everybody deserves our attention and respect. 5 minutes, a smile, a hello, how you doing? Every contact has opportunity out there, and you just never know where that's going to lead to. And I've been around in business long enough to hear the stories of the financial advisor who's willing to give the time to the person just to open up, just get started in investing, answer some questions. And then lo and behold, it turns out that, they don't have much money, but they've got parents who do, or a brother who does, or whatever it might be. And those stories are out there. Every contact has opportunity. Don't look past anybody. Give everybody the attention and respect that you would want. And I'm not saying you're going to be in a Hollywood blockbuster, but you just never know what might come from that. Every contact has opportunity.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AmSpirit.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connection. All rights reserved.